Now, as you know, people, for me it was today, for other people it was yesterday, but during the early hours of today, at least 2 a.m. as far as I can remember, there was a kidnapping, there was a torture and grievous bodily harm done to a white man with special needs by a group of black youths, who are also thugs by the way. All people were aged 18. This has rightly caused an uproar amongst all our circles, all the so-called scatosphere circles and people who do not like seeing this kind of attack happen. In this video, they taunt, they tie up, they beat up and tear this man's clothes and even cut his scalp, all because of his race and because of apparently Trump being elected. So therefore, this young man with special needs, this young white man, is somehow at fault for these black youths' problems. Somehow he has to be the one to take the punishment for the whole white population of America because for some reason he's done something wrong. In the video you can clearly hear them shouting fuck white people, fuck Trump, and of course we know that there's a reason why they're saying this. They're saying this because one, because he's white. They're clearly doing this for racial reasons. They're racist. They are attacking this boy because he is white. And they do not like the current political situation that they find themselves in, which, as we know, was largely their fault because of who they were backing and what they've been spouting. Now, you probably know my personal opinion on this. I find it very sickening. I'm really annoyed. I'm very angry that this type of thing can happen, and I'm really just can't believe that these people have done such a thing. This is what happens when you teach a whole demographic of people to have no empathy for another demographic of people. This lack of empathy develops into violence. These people no longer see this guy as just simply another human being. They see him as a white person to beat up because they're apparently frustrated with what's been going on and blame him for all their problems. Does this sound familiar? I think it does. This is exactly what happened to the Jews in Nazi Germany. This is what happens when you race bait. This is what happens when you blame problems on a whole demographic of people. People who haven't actually caused any of these problems. But anyway, we all know about that. Let's just talk about the incident itself and the reaction to the incident. Now, rightfully, these people were arrested, thankfully, because they were stupid enough to live stream this on Facebook and divulge not only who they were in terms of their names, but also their faces. And this, of course, allowed the police to arrest them. This allowed us to find out who they were, and hopefully justice will be served. Now, the reactions have been very interesting, but let's just talk about the police reaction first, and then we can get into the other reactions from SJWs, Anti-SJWs, stuff like that. Now, the police have arrested these individuals. They found the boy after he was released from being held against his will or kidnapped. There is a difference between the two. Since these people have now been arrested, they released a press conference, and in the press conference, they said some very questionable things, I will concede. They were saying about how this could simply be either a hate crime, or it could be this horrible act, or it could be a case of kids being stupid. Although, as they did say in the conference, as people seem to forget, since I assume they did watch the whole conference, right, that these people are legal adults, and the man was simply calling them kids because that's what older people do. Now, do I think the comments like this could simply be kids being stupid? This could be an act of stupidity, very stupid itself? Yes, I think they're very stupid comments. They're dumb comments. But he's being impartial. The police have to be impartial. They have to allow due process to carry out, because if they don't, this could jeopardise the investigation, allowing their personal opinions to affect it. They have to remain impartial. They have to be the ones who carry it out the way it's supposed to. In fact, I've noticed that a lot of people on our side of the debate, the anti-SJW side, have been kind of decrying this whole investigation process. The law is doing exactly what the law is supposed to do in America. They're doing what they're doing. They've arrested these people. They're investigating the crime. They've got pretty much all the evidence you could ask for. It was live streamed on Facebook, for fuck's sake. They're doing what they can. There's been no charges as of yet, but that will come eventually when they see fit. Now, there was a story about one of the girls having a bond of $1,500 being released. This was actually from a previous crime last year for larceny, and this somehow ended up being for that crime when it actually wasn't. It was a completely different crime and it has no bearing on this situation. Now, for the life of me, I don't know why the Anti-SJWs were complaining about the police response. They're still not actually responding properly yet because they're still doing the investigation. Yes, the conference itself was probably not what we wanted. We didn't want to hear what they were saying to us. We wanted to hear what we wanted to hear, essentially, but we didn't get that, and that was probably why a lot of people, still emotional, still very much angry, were being knee-jerk, and believe me, the knee-jerkiness continues even after this, and they were quite, understandably angry at these comments that the police were saying. But if they were thinking about it rationally, they would realise that this is just what the police do, what they have to do. But I just find it funny that we're doing a similar thing to what SJWs do in regards to police officers when they fuck up, or when white people do racist crimes to black people and stuff like that. Let's not do that, people. I mean, you don't have to, follow what I'm telling you to do. Just be aware that you're being knee-jerk and you're complaining about the law doing their job. There's also been a lot of conjecture and a lot of theories been going around that have been passing around as fact in people's videos on this subject. I've seen quite a lot of people bandying around the notion that Black Lives Matter was directly involved in this case just because of the words fuck Trump, fuck white people, stuff like that. There is no evidence that BLM was involved in this. Now, I have a friend who was doing some digging, and this is only hearsay. I don't take this as evidence whatsoever, that apparently during the video there was a tag that said Black Lives Matter. Not BLM, Black Lives Matter. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. But I've tried to look around for screenshots of it. I can't seem to find any screenshots. It's probably because things are getting deleted online because people don't want this story spreading. But words being spoken like that, fuck Trump, fuck white people, stuff like that, no, that doesn't necessarily mean that BLM are involved. Now, you could argue they were indirectly involved because of the wide platform that they've been given by the media and the rhetoric that they spew, which is very anti-white, very anti-police, anti-right-wing, anti-left-wing that they don't agree with, stuff like that. So you can see how this would have influenced these people. But then again, there are other organisations that they could well be a part of that spew this kind of rhetoric anyway, and they've been doing it longer than Black Lives Matter. We just don't know if it was Black Lives Matter. And people saying that it was Black Lives Matter people kidnapping this guy and torturing him, they're wrong. At least, at the moment, they're wrong. They could well be proven right. At the moment, we do not know. So let's not say this is fact, okay? This would be like a white supremacist group of thugs attacking a black youth, and then we'll be saying, oh, it's the KKK who did it, when it could easily have been just a group of skinheads. It could well have been a different white supremacist group altogether. We just don't know. Now, the reactions from the SJWs and race baiters has, of course, been typical. We all know what they believe. They believe, oh, these people are just victims of the white supremacist world in which they inhabit, and that all of this was caused by Trump. It was Trump's fault. It was white people's fault for this poor special needs lad who probably never even voted. We don't know if he voted. We don't know. We don't know if he's political or not. We don't know if you can even think about political things. We don't know. Apparently it was the white people's fault. It was his fault. It was Trump's fault. Because reasons. Because race. Now they're right. We don't know if it was Black Lives Matter. They're saying that it isn't categorically. But they're trying to downplay this. They're trying to downplay what is quite clearly a hate crime, saying it's not a hate crime. And that this is simply the people who believe that racism doesn't exist. No institutional racism, blah, 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 blah. You know, the usual straw man that the SJWs like to say about us, that we think that racism doesn't exist, when clearly we do believe racism exists. In my opinion, racism exists, and it happens to black people, white people, Asian people, mixed race people, Latinos, Indians, Arabs, you name it. Racism exists. Hell, even institutional racism in a slightly lesser form, a tiny form, does exist in the West. At least from what I've read in America, black men, perhaps even black people in general, get higher sentences than, say, white people. But then again, overall, men, white, black, Asian, etc., get imprisoned more because they're male rather than females who get imprisoned less for the same job. It's 6 times higher, but that's besides the point, people. These people are saying it's not a hate crime, despite the fact that quite clearly is a hate crime, because they're saying fuck white people and it's his fault that he's white, stuff like that. They were attacking him, they were calling him names. It was a very racialised attack. And what's worse about this is that the young special needs lad knew one of the people who did this to him. I don't know if it was one of the girls or one of the lads, but they're from a similar area. They went to the same school, And can you believe that this is what is happening? Former acquaintances have suddenly become enemies because of political rhetoric. And where did all that come from? Who was telling all these people that they live in a white supremacist world that hates them? It's always the white people trying to bring them down. And none of the problems are caused by their own communities. It's everybody else's fault and they're oppressed. And it's white people's fault, it's Trump's fault. Who do you think is telling them this? It's not the anti-SJWs that are telling them this. They're trying to tell them that no, not all the problems are caused by the system. Some of it is community issues, it's issues that affect everybody. No, it's the SJWs. It's the far left that have taught these people to go out with no empathy whatsoever, kidnap or capture this guy against his will, basically assault him and torture him. It is essentially what it is. It wasn't us, it was you. And this is why you're downplaying it, because you don't want to be blamed for what is essentially a hate crime or is torture. And this type of behaviour, as you know, I assume you all have read your history books, leads to a bad place called World War II, or as it is here now, World War III. Now, as for the anti-SJW response, I believe it has been very knee-jerk, understandably so, considering we are all really emotional about this. I'm emotional about it. I know I don't sound it, but I was absolutely livid. I couldn't even watch the footage all the way through. I had to watch it in bits until I completed it, and I just, it rubs me the wrong way, especially apparently he has autism. I'm on the spectrum. That really just grinds my gears even more. I feel even more of a personal thing to it than I usually would have with things like this. But this is no excuse to then go and try and advocate for mob justice and to say, yeah, let's just throw these guys in jail anyway. Oh no, race war's happening and stuff like that. There's no use going around saying, oh, it was Black Lives Matter, it was this, that and the other without no evidence. It's important that we stick to the facts and what we know and wait until the investigations has come out with even more stuff, okay? Yes, we have a load of evidence already, but as with the stuff that you've been saying in your videos, but stop being knee-jerk. I warned about this in my New Year's resolution video. We can't afford to be knee-jerk. And we can't afford to be saying things that we don't actually mean about black people or white people or what have you. Because the SJWs will use it against us. We have to think. We have to try to remain calm and think about this logically. I know I may sound like I'm trying to order people around and tone police. I'm not. I'm just pleading. Let's just relax. Calm down. I'm trying to be okay with you people here. I'm not even going to edit this bit. I know it's hard, alright? I know it appears like everything in America is just going to shit in regards to race relations, but it's been worse. It's been worse. This could well be the thing that drives loads of people to the alt-right. This could well be a turning point in race relations. It could go either way. It could go horrible. Or maybe this is the thing where normal people see this and say, enough. We want to heal the wounds. Enough is enough. But I don't know. So let's just relax. Let's not go around blaming demographics like the SJWs do for ills, and let's just blame the individuals who did this crime. It's not about whether or not it was Black Lives Matter or not at the moment. 4 individuals committed a hate crime. That's what it is, okay? But the media, let's get to the media, by the way. The media has been awfully silent, the mainstream media at least. These people have literally been forced just to give us the facts about this. They literally were so late trying to bring this story up to the public that I'm surprised they even bothered in the first place. But then again, it was screaming in their face they had to. Almost as if they didn't want to. They were like, ugh, I don't want to do this. Ugh. And already on NBC, somebody who's linked to the DNC in some way has already said it's Trump's fault and that it's clearly not the black people's fault, they didn't do nothing. I mean, already if you've got didn't do nothings in the mainstream media, it's just, Jesus Christ, people. I mean, need I say more? But anyway, people, I guess that's the end of the video. I guess it kind of went a bit longer than I planned. I wanted this to be a shorter rant, but I had things I had to get off my chest. It's a very emotional time. Remember, people, don't be knee-jerk, don't do any of the things I said, but again, you don't have to listen to me. Go ahead if you want to, but just beware of the consequences. So anyway, let's wait for the facts. These people will be brought to justice. They will be charged. I can guarantee that. It would be a gross mismanagement of justice if they didn't, despite all that. So until next time, I'll see you later.